Alright, we are recording for chapter 10 of The Voyage Home, which, relatively short chapter, I don't have many notes, but we'll see. I might still end up ranting on a thing or two. We'll see. So it's... Kirk gets on board the Bounty, a little back and forth with Spock. Then we get to her and Chekhov with their part finishing. Her beams away. Chekhov is caught, that sort of stuff, and it ends with he's injured, back on the Bounty. They're trying to figure out what to do. They're starting to recrystallize the dilithium and all that, and her is just monitoring communications to try to find out what happened and where he is. So we do have the line in here that is in the movie with Kirk yelling at Spock because of how Spock's talking about the mission and how it's you're talking about the end of life on Earth. That includes your father's life. You're half human. Haven't you got any goddamn feelings about it? He runs off. But then we get something out in the movie. Spock lunged one step after him. Jim, he halted abruptly. He goes on about how he's well, Kirk didn't hear him, but it's also that Spock is in an awkward position here because he knows that it's very un-Vulcan, and he doesn't know why he didn't suppress the urge to do that before it even formed. It's like, he shouldn't have done that at all, shouldn't have happened at all. And also does also describe that he is actually angry about this. Because there's also the whole thing here about, worrying about things won't help at all. So why worry? Why is he reacting like this? Stuff like that. And then what I do have highlighted here for it is Spock drew a deep breath, trying to calm himself, wrestle with his confusion and the emotions he could not continue to deny. He wanted to return to his quarters, he wanted to meditate and concentrate until he drew himself completely back into control, but he could not. Too much work remained to be done. And I like that. I like that he's just going to have to work through these emotions, that he's not going to be able to just meditate them away. That no, he has to actually deal with them, not necessarily like confronting them, like going to Kirk and be like, hey, you can't say that to me, not something like that. Just you have them, you have to work with them. Yeah. Next highlight I have here is after Chekhov has been captured. And by the way, Harry, the FBI agent that he has named Bond, and apparently the FBI agent is aware that he is actually one of the people there. So, but first, we have this line that was definitely a, huh? But if his captors opened it improperly, the communicator, it would self-destruct. Why is that a feature of your communicator? Why is that a feature of the communicator? I mean, and what does it mean by self-destruct? Does it mean? Does it just mean? I mean, if it's that's one thing where it's say, hey, we want to make sure that it can't be used by the enemy, and that just look like a hunk of metal that way. It's like that's one thing, but this is just self-destruct and still is a. How do you open the thing improperly? I mean, it's a flip phone. It only opens one way. To clarify on that, I know in the movies that you see them using Klingon equipment, but at the end of Search for Spock, it does reference Kirk using his Starfleet communicator, and there has been no indication, like he uses that instead of a Klingon communicator, and there's been no indication that any of the Starfleet crew is not using their Starfleet equipment. Like, there's no reason to believe they don't have it on them and are not using that. Instead, something that they took off of the Klingon bird of prey. So yeah, it's and it does also make sense this is months later. If they still have access to the equipment, they would continue to use it just because that's what they're familiar with. So yeah, I just, why is that a thing? I don't get it. So when the FBI agent is coming in, because there is just like Navy personnel there as well, and so the FBI is just they are being brought in as well. But it's like, but he knew. It's a coincidence, the FBI agent said again. Watch. Looking disgusted, he approached Pavel. We caught your friend, he said. Pavel started, but that is impossible. The FBI agent turned pale under his tan. Your black South African friend? She's not from South Africa, Pavel said. Bantu Nation is... He stopped. You did not catch her. You were fooling me. And the FBI agent's like, oh shit. The nut actually was right about this. Because he'd just been arguing with the Navy guy that no, we didn't know. Sheer coincidence. The dude's a nut. Don't worry about it. And then it's like, no, that is in fact the description here. So yeah, it's, yeah. And Chekhov is, so this I'm okay with, that he got caught up in that. I'm okay with that. But earlier, it said that when he was told to freeze, he was like, what does that mean, freeze? It's like, why would he not understand that? And there's also an element of, you say freeze, I'm pretty sure everybody if they understand English, it's like they understand what the word means, and so we'll stop. Like I don't get why Chekhov is being stupid with that. I really don't. And then there's that. I think there's another one as well. Or wait, is it? Oh yeah. So another thing that's just a little annoying, and there's a couple examples of it here. You can put beats in writing, so that's, in comedy, in a lot of things, but in comedy you have beats. So like in the movie, it would be to make sure that you rest on something long enough to let that settle, so that there can be a valuation moment, and it's like, and then something happens. You can put that in writing. There's ways of doing that, and I don't know why, but it's like this first one, we're putting a beat in a rest period that is not appropriate to have there. And then another way, it's like we should actually have a rest period to help it linger that this is not a good situation. So, yeah. We got the whole, let's take from the top of what? Name? My name? No! What the interrogator said. The sarcasm had returned to his tone. My name. It's like, it should have been, no, my name. Just immediately going into that. Just because he's frustrated. So, of course, he's going to go, no, my name. That's how he's going to say it, but instead it's, no, blah, 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 my name. I'm sorry, but that is poorly written there. That legitimately is poor writing. Because it should be, no, my name. The interrogator said it with a clear, sarcastic tone. Because, yeah, it's like, you gotta just hit it with the energy there. But then later, he picks up the phaser. I'm sorry, but he fired the phaser. Phaser gurgled and died. It must be radiation, Pavel murmured. So now we're missing a beat here. And yes, we are. Because even though, yes, it is 3 separate lines, so that's fine for the structure there. But he fired the phaser. The phaser gurgled and died. It must be radiation. There's no pause. And there should be. There should be a rest there for him to be like, look down at it, to be like, he looked down. Or even everybody else is just like, but what was supposed to happen? It's like something there. So to allow that reaction, like, oh no, something's bad, something wrong has happened. Something has gone wrong, and then say, must be the radiation. So that then you get the response to it, some sort of reaction to snap everyone back into the moment. It's like, yeah, okay. That's literally, it's a short chapter, and that is the last highlight that I have there. But yeah, it's just, yeah, gurgled and died. Everyone in the room looked between each other, to wondering what the interrogator and FBI agent looked at each other, wondering what was supposed to happen. Must be radiation, and it's like that something like that. So you rest on it, and because it also helps emphasize something isn't right. But yeah, it just, I don't want to be this short. Sorry. one thing that I thought about highlighting it, decided not to, but I might as well mention. I do find a little curious just the language choice because it is changed. Where when right before that actually, when the agent and the interrogator are talking to each other, it's the whole. I think he's Russian. Of course he's Russian. In the movie, it then goes, but he's like retarded or something. And this is no. It's like he's developmentally disabled. It's like, I mean, today, if it were made well, not necessarily today, but in recent years, it would be, well, we can't say the word retarded. I could believe that. I don't, but that's not the case. It's actually in the movie. So I don't know why that's not how it's written out here, but there is an element of, it's a better use of the word in the movie. Just the way it flows, the way you can say it. It's a sharper word. It hits better than developmentally disabled. So, and also, in the movie, it's not just, the person saying he's retarded. It's like he's retarded or something. And it's like there's a whole facial expression there that's like he's developmentally disabled. It doesn't work as well. So that I could see being why it is retarded in the movie. But I don't know why it is different here. And maybe it is just I prefer the term developmentally disabled. It's like, all right, I think it doesn't work as well, but all right. So anyway, he runs off. He did grab his stuff. So he has the communicator, the phaser, and his ID with him. And he even chastises himself because, like, I should have left the ID on the bounty. And also, I shouldn't have had the phaser underneath my jacket where I couldn't get to it. Which is a good point, because why even bother having it then? But he grabs those, he's running, he's at the gangplank, but he's trapped on both sides, and so he's like, alright, well, there's water down there, so I'll try diving down. But as he's doing that, he realizes, oh wait, there's a barge here under the pier. So he's trying to stop himself, which sends the phaser and the communicator into the water, as though that's a good thing. Because Navy divers will just go down and find it. Anyway. But it's odd how it describes his ID. The ID doesn't fall, but like it flies out of his hand and just goes somewhere, so it's like that might be found. Don't know. But he falls and is then, bleeding from his head, so it's like, okay, that's bad. And then we're back on the bounty with Cook's in a foul mood. Because it's like, yes, we've lost him, but Scotty, I need you to go take care of the dilithium. That we do need that. Uhura, we needed you to come back. I mean, if you had stayed, like you're saying, I shouldn't have left him. It's like, that would be worse. Go to communications, start monitoring, maybe we can find out where he is. And Kirk is like, I'll stay at the transporter, try to get in touch with him and be in, but then eventually he goes, and Uhura is also very frustrated because it even talks about how she broke on the computer to search for certain keywords in the radio waves, which the Navy communications for that would likely be encrypted somehow. I don't know why it would be open communication. Not sure how she'd be able to crack that, though. I mean, there's no reason to believe that the Klingon computer would be capable of that because, I mean, it's also having to do that and all the other communications. Yeah, anyway, moving on. She's doing that. She is also talking about how she wishes it were the Enterprise computer because that she could just ask it to find anything unusual. And then the computer could ask her, what's unusual? And she could explain that and do that. But to a Klingon computer, all of this is unusual. Plus, it's a few centuries early, so... So she's having the computer scan for certain words. She's listening in. Kirk comes over and is like, anything yet? No. And then it just describes something very accurate. Kirk has to just sink into the command chair and it's like, he has to wait, which is the hardest thing for him to do. It's also something he's had to do plenty of times before, because, yeah, that is going to be part of command. But, yeah, it's still the hardest thing that he's had to do since leaving Vulcan. And we do also have the whole the high energy photons going into the lithium crystals. they are starting to recrystallize. According to the computer, they can't see it happening, but it is supposedly happening. Which is like, okay, that's the lowest of what we were hoping would happen, but it's happening. And Kirk yells at them because it's like, Scotty, well into tomorrow doesn't help us. We need that sooner. And Scotty just in his head is like, sure. And while I'm at it, to modifying this level of quantum mechanics, I'll also change the Planck's constants, and hey, why not the speed of light as well? But he and Spock are doing what they can to speed things up, but yeah. Like I said, foul mood. Foul mood. That's it. It's actually pretty quick, so I will see if I can do the next chapter. This is the weekend. It would be nice if I can get through the book for the weekend, so I don't have to worry about doing no, I'll be worrying about the written review. Yeah, fun stuff. Okay. Anyway, I did look briefly at the start of chapter 11. We are following Jillian. Makes sense, because she needs to find out that the whales are gone. So, anyway, see you next time.